Alright guys, this video is about what's the difference between an ENFP and an ESFP. These are some Discord chats I had with some people and we were discussing this, and I'm just looking at that as my notes since my iPad is not working the way I would like it to be. So first thing is, these are based off of some videos that other people had said is, there was an ESFP girl who said that when she goes to parties, there's a difference between deep talking at coffee and deep talking at a party. She would like to deep talk at coffee, but when it's a party where there's a lot of things going on, there's cake, there's dancing, she just wants to have a good time. And she's so focused and absorbed in the moment that she wants to have a good time that she's not really interested in going for a deep talk unless it's extremely interesting. It has to be extremely interesting. And I think that's where the bar to get an ENFP interested is much lower at a party. An ENFP would be much more focused on getting new perspectives, meeting new people, but an ESFP is like, you want to talk to me at the dance floor? No. I'm here to dance. I'm here to party. The ESFP is really much about, at the moment, what is the best thing to do. So it's kind of like ENFP might be thinking, it's always the right time to do the right thing. And ESFP might be more like, there's a right time to do the right thing. The ESFP is more like, for example, if you want to have a deep talk, find that deep talk time. I want to enjoy the moment and live in that moment and for what it is. Whereas the ENFP is like, deep talking is the right thing, so I want to deep talk all the time. A difference between ESFPs and ENFPs also is that it would appear that ENFPs with SE, see, when you have any as your dominant function, you're more in the world of ideas, whereas SE is your dominant function, you're more in the real world concretely. So ENFPs can lose things very easily because they're in the world, in a parallel universe. Their mind is somewhere else in a different dimension, whereas ESFPs are in our dimension. So because ENFPs are in a different dimension, they'll more easily lose things. So in order to protect themselves from losing things, they'll neurotically form rules. Like some ENFPs were saying how at work they would say like a song like hat, keys, phone, or something like every time they left the building of their work, hat, keys, phone. So they'll create some rules to kind of help them ground them back in reality. So because their mind is expanding is expanding in all directions, they need to say something or do something that would ground them back into reality. When we're discussing about proof, I think ENFPs, because they are they're much more open-minded. I've heard a lot of ENFPs say things like, oh, I believe in Taoism, I believe in MBTI astrology. They can believe in tarot. They can believe in like every system, even if every single system has a contradiction with other systems, because they have TI as their 7th function BB model, their blind spot. They don't really care about logical consistency, contradiction free. Because they don't believe in logical consistency as being highly valued in their stack, they can accept things that have logical inconsistencies, and they can basically accept all kinds of crazy ideas. And so they don't have a really high demand for proof. SE is not high in their stack. They're an SI user. So as long as it makes sense to them and it doesn't need to be logically consistent, it makes sense and it's real, it's considered real, and it's proof to them. So I think their burden of proof is much lower. But an ESFP perhaps will need more sensor proof, more concrete proof, because they're not going to likely accept so many contradictions or so many crazy things that like astrology and like they might play around with these things, but they might not accept them as really true, because what they would consider as true is something that it feels real to their lived experience. Whereas ENFPs can be conceptually true with a very low TI bar, a very low bar for logical consistency. ENFPs are excited and interested if there's like, oh, this and this, just new ideas. If they're just new ideas, even if they're completely bullshit, or they can find value and they can find truth in something that's 95% false. So if it's 95% false, then it's 5% true. So they can consider and see the possibilities, and hey, this 5% true thing with this thing and this thing and this thing, and they can combine a lot of things into something. Like they can combine a lot of ideas from a lot of different places and come off as extremely creative because they're creating new combinations of things. And I don't think they're that interested in like orthodoxy. So for example, it's not that if they're studying socionics or they're studying MBTI or they're studying any kind of theoretical system, they're not likely to say, like, I think INTJs somehow give me because of the NI focus, they want to narrow down on what is the true way, what is the true path, and they'll criticize things that they find it's not true. So maybe an ENFP sees something that's 95% false and they'll be like, it's 5% true, it's good enough, I could use this to help me open my mind and see things from new perspectives. But an INTJ does not want to really expand new perspectives that much. They want to narrow down on what's more true with their NI and the pattern focus. So if it's 95% true, 5% false, they'll probably focus on the 5% false, and then they'll start criticizing that because they're looking for the perfection of 100% true. ESFPs, I don't think that they're that interested in the conceptual world. They're much more interested in the real world and the physical world, the world of the senses. A conflict that ENFPs and ESFPs commonly have is ENFPs hang out with ESFPs and they're like, oh, I've got 10 great ideas. We're going to go to the park. We're going to go do this. And then we're going to do this. And then we're going to do this. And let's do this. And let's do that. They like to brainstorm and put a lot of ideas on the table. Whereas ESFPs are like, okay, great. So when are we going to do it? And they get frustrated because ENFPs might be like, yesterday I want to do 10 ideas, but today I'm not that interested in doing those 10 ideas. That was yesterday. Today is a new me. I'm interested in something else. And ESFPs are like, what? Didn't we just say that we would do one of those? So ESFPs, something that separates ESFPs and ENFPs is ESFPs have SE above any kind of thinking function. They have SETE loop. They're much more, the distance between thought and action is very minimal. So a very high SE subtype ESFP might, the moment they think something, the moment they're going to do it. Or they might do it before they think. They like thinking and doing. They don't like thinking really long periods of times and then acting on something. They would like just like, that's wasting time. They don't want to waste time. I got an idea. Let's execute. Let's do it. In this sense, ENFPs are more. So my video just got interrupted because I got called for a delivery. And let's continue. So I think ENFPs are really interested in kind of brainstorming, generating ideas. So there's no need to think and then act. They prefer to get as many ideas on the table, see things from as many different ways as possible, versus the ESFP would be really focused on how do I start getting good experiences now? My experience is, what is my experience now? What do I do that will improve my experience? I'm after good high quality sensory experiences, and staying in la la land, conceptualizing different perspectives is going to give me a headache. That's not focused enough. Very focused on getting things done, and I think they're good at getting things done. So they do have a speed factor. So SE is kind of like a speed advantage, where NE is more of a seeing things from different perspective. So ENFPs would be able to understand. ENFPs would be able to relate to more types of people because they're used to and they enjoy the process of looking at things from other people's perspectives. And I don't think that's particularly true with ESFPs. I think ESFPs are very much, unless it's someone they really care about and it triggers their FI. If they care about someone a lot, then they might put in the effort to understand those people. But if we're just talking about understanding other people for the sake of understanding people that have nothing to do with their own improving their own life in the short term and the near term, ESFPs would probably be a little bit irritated. So I do find the parallel between ENFPs and ENTPs where they can have that full enjoyment just from talking. And they really like exploring concepts. So ENFPs and ENTPs they're very theoretical types. And ENFPs and ENFPs get along with INFJs, I believe. So I, as an INFJ, I want to like ESFPs, but they are so fast in their lifestyle that they don't really stick around. As in, like, I'm too boring for your normal ESFP, I believe. Like, because ESFPs are not particularly interested in people. So, like, and they're not really interested in the world of concepts. So as an INFJ, I have a very rich and nuanced world of concepts, a very strong conceptual world. So ENFPs would enjoy me because, first of all, I share in common with ENFPs is I value the perspectives of different types of people. I'm trying to help huge groups of people work together. I want to be a connector, a super connector that connects different types of people, different cultures, different languages. And so I and ENFPs, we value the different perspectives, whereas an ESFP is valuing their own perspective. FI in the second position is higher than FI for the ENFP. It's FI in, is it also, it's NEFI. Oh, they're both in the second position. So it's interesting. So they like exploring perspectives and they like to stay true to their values. ESFPs stay true to their values, but they want to stay in the here and now, in the real world, and they want to get going. And that makes it challenging because I'm kind of like a slow burn kind of guy. I'm a slow poke. So I'm kind of like a very slow theta wave, and ESFPs, I think, give fast alpha vibes, as in very fast brainwave vibes that they're just like get on a really fast track. So something interesting is when ESFPs and ENFPs discuss about travel in different countries, ENFPs could enjoy just talking about the travel and they don't need to go there because they can go there in their minds. But ESFPs, just talking about it feels very empty and does not feel satisfying. And they really feel the need to actually go there and actually use their SE senses to experience the place. And so like talking about traveling to Korea and actually going to Korea is going to be what they want. But for me, like as an INFJ, I could talk about Ireland and not go to Ireland. I feel like I'm there already. And I actually usually enjoy actually talking about the place more than going there. Like when I go there, it's for the purpose of talking about the place. So if I went to Ireland or I went to China, I would go there and I would want to explore. I would want to see things that are new, but I'd also want there to be heavy conversation to explain what I'm seeing. And I value explaining what I'm seeing more. I think ENFPs and INFJs would also explore that as intuitives. The video that I'm kind of referring to called out TE DOMs as looking at friends as tools, and SE DOMs as looking at friends' experiences, and NE DOMs looking at friends as concept fodder to explore new perspectives. So NE DOMs want to find people who give them new perspectives. SE DOMs are looking for people who can give them new experiences. So SE DOMs might really care about your social media, what kind of life are you living, what kind of experiences are you living. If it looks interesting, they want to try, they want to participate. TE DOMs would more look at friends as kind of a tool, like how can I use this person to get closer to my goals? So this part is, I was shocked as an INFJ to hear that ESFPs is, when they're at a party, they like to go around, they like to catch up, some small talk, 5-minute catch-up sessions, but they want to do it with many people. If the conversation really triggers the FI, then they really want it all in on the 2-hour talk. But that's rare. They far more prefer the talking to a lot of people at a very shallow level, because that allows speed and that allows more experiences. You can experience more, you can connect more. I think the NEs, like the ENFPs, I think they do like floating around to see perspectives, but I think they actually do, and if they really would prefer the deep conversation that really gives them something new. Something also interesting between INFJ versus the ESFP is when the ESFP goes into that social party environment, it seems actually their SE is temporarily desactivated because there's so much sense stimulation. So actually they're not paying that much attention to people's feelings. They're not FEs, they're FIs. So they're not paying attention to people's feelings. They don't really know, like let's say there's a lot of people at the party. They don't know who's having a good time and who's not having a good time. They're not really paying attention to people's body language actually that much because it's so stimulating. They're just enjoying and having fun. And so if people are awkward, they don't know because like their SE, their ability to like understand what's going on in the group situation is kind of deactivated. They're just having a good time. So when they go in the group, they have a good time and they're not overstimulated. And ironically, as extrovert types, it seems they have a poor ability to read body language and the emotional state of others as a feeling type. And so when they go to these kind of big social gatherings, they don't think it's draining. Now, INFJs are an FE type. And with FE, in the big groups, it goes into hyperdrive, and I can sense with high accuracy the feeling of everyone in the room. And I could, one friend commented it's like scoping. So let's say it's like the police radar. If I go in a party, there's 20 people, I can feel everyone's energy and everyone's feelings. And I kind of think it's my job as the police to make sure that everyone's having a good time. And my radar can scope in on this person and like, I could of 20 people, I could feel their feelings, but I could zoom in like a sniper on one person or two people in a conversation, and I could feel their feelings at a higher level of accuracy and fidelity. And I'm just looking at trying to make sure that other people are having a good time. That is quite different than ESFPs who are FIs. They're going to try to focus on making sure that they are having a good time. Like if they are having a good time, who cares if other people are having a good time? But INFJs don't really care whether they're having a good time, so they really just care if other people are having a good time. As FE is higher and higher, if other people are having a good time, I'm going to have a good time because the emotions of others transfer close to me like an empath. So the feelings of others become my feelings, whereas the feelings of others do not become the feelings of others for ESFPs or ENFPs, to my understanding. I'm going to skip this. These are also very interesting conversations. So why I'm so interested in this, because I'm so confused whether my girlfriend is an ESFP or if she's an ENFP. And so I've been trying to figure that out. She's definitely a P and she's definitely an F. She's an FI user for sure. She has NE, but she doesn't really get into the deep conceptual conversation. So this is what kind of confuses me. So that also attracted me to this Love Who Discord channel to learn more about this type. So I did notice ENFPs like to try on ideas like clothes. And it's like, instead of finding one path, one monk path, and trying to live that one path the whole life and feel like I've lived the right path, I think ENFPs would like to live 20 to 100 lives or more as different persons before they die. Like that means today I'm an atheist, tomorrow I'm a Buddhist. I asked my girlfriend, are you willing to be a Christian for me? Because I'm a Christian. And she said yes. And she also said, like, I could become a Christian and then I could not be. So you can become one and then leave and then become one again and become something else. So she just really believes she can just become anything she wants. So she doesn't feel like, oh, I became a Christian, that means that I cannot unbecome a Christian. So it's very easy for her to try on something. For example, I could not become an atheist and then easily not become an atheist. I take a lot of research, a lot of time to become something. Versus she's really like, you know what, let's go, let's try something. When I mentioned about podcasting with my girlfriend, she was like, oh, let's do a podcast and let's pretend we don't know each other. So she's really interested in acting and role playing and trying out new things and becoming different things. I think this is kind of cool because it's not how my brain operates. So I have been trying. So recently I've been buying a lot of things, online shopping, and I'm trying, you know what, I've already lived my life as me. I want to try being other stuff too. So ENFPs do influence me, this idea that, wait, I don't need to just be this one way. I could try this. Like, for example, my luggage space is so limited, so I don't know what to do. So I'm thinking about, like, I like a lot of different colors, but if I have clothes of all different colors, they don't match. So I'm thinking, how can I have my colors to fit in this small space? Like I want my clothes to have a color coding, but I want them to fit in my luggage. And so that limits the color palette. So I think, I need to choose colors. I need to choose pink and black or something like that. Which is true. I bought like a lot of pink things, pink luggages and stuff like that. But the thing is, like, what if pink doesn't look good with pink or black? I'm so worried. What if this doesn't look good with this? So I don't even know what to buy. But I think the ENFP is who cares? Just try this, try that, try this. and see what works. And I think it's also very interesting because my we'll probably have a part 3. It's time to eat something. All right, so we're continuing part 3. Something I did miss is I think it's funny that the ESFP seems to, when they're in the social situation, their SE seems to sort of be overwhelmed. So it's a little bit deactivated. They're not really paying attention. It's like if you've got really strong senses and you're now in an overstimulated environment, there's so much information coming in that I think their ability to look at body language goes down. As FI users, they're focused on their own feelings. They're not FE, focused on the feelings of others. So they're not having a very easy time guessing how other people feel. Also, they're not any DOMs. So ENFPs really try to look at things from different perspectives all the time. So I think they're good at putting themselves in other people's shoes, but ESFPs are good at staying in their own shoes. So this can lead to a situation where ESFPs can actually go to social situations and get more enjoyment, because if someone else is very depressed nearby, they may not sense it from their SE. They may not feel it from their FI. And so it's the good music. It's that good cake. They're enjoying the SE, enjoying that good cake. They're enjoying the dancing, vibing. And so they're the kind of people who are going to have a good time, even if people nearby are not having a good time. It doesn't really affect them. I think that's why they become more extroverted types, because if you have that kind of ability where you could ignore the feelings of others to some degree, and you can enjoy that sensory data, and because they're going in that social situation and they're not picking up like a sponge all the negative emotions from others, they can really vibe and have that good, what people have that party girl, party guy kind of nickname. But INFJs, so I think that makes them more likely to be enjoying the extroverted big group gatherings, because other people's negative feelings don't bother them. And they're focused on their own perception, SE, and their own feeling, FI. Now, INFJs, because they're such a sponge, and I said in the part 2, where they're like a radar and they can pick up the emotional signal like a sponge. People's positive emotions can become INFJ's positive emotions, but people's negative and awkward emotions can become an INFJ's awkward emotions. So when they go to social situations, it feels like they're the chaperone, and it feels like work. It feels like there's like so much information coming, and because of FE is so high up and SE is in the vulnerable function for us. Like, let's say the cake is good. I've noticed if the cake is good, but someone's awkward in front of me, their awkwardness would become my awkwardness, or their negative feelings will become mine, and I feel the need to actually do something to cheer them up and make their negative feeling go up. My cake doesn't even have any taste. I might say, hey, do you want to eat this cake? Because the cake itself, its value is less than the feeling of the other person, which is really weird, because like if the cake was in front of me and it's the best cake on the planet, but there was a person in front of me who was not feeling good, I could not enjoy that cake while they are not feeling good. So my FE requires me to, in order for me to feel good, I need to make preconditions to make them feel good, which makes us fundamentally reliant and almost dependent on the emotional response of other people. It's empathic. And I think this is what makes social so draining to INFJs. And a lot of people like INFJs because INFJs will go out of their way to provide positive impact to a lot of people. They're trying to provide a positive impact, because if they don't, if someone's in a negative energy level, it influences them negatively. So they need to give people positive energy in order for them to just go back to a neutral state. So going to a social event will cost them a lot of energy, and this would make them more introverted, more scared of going to social interactions. This is what make them want to be a hermit. So even though, ironically, ESFPs will probably hurt more people's feelings, say things that are really weird in like the social setting because they can't really feel how people feel. They're not really focused on other people's perspectives. The INFJ would probably make more people happy at a party, but be more unhappy at the party. Whereas the ESFP will be more happy at the party and make more people unhappy. So this is a very cool dynamic. And I think the INFJ is influenced to be introverted because of this FE is really bothering them. And there's a big conflict because FE in the second place for the INFJ means that their FI is also strong. So FE and FI are constantly fighting each other in the case of the INFJ. But that's also interesting. All right. Part 4 on ESFP versus ENFP. We were responding to these questions. I think, so what I wrote here is the INFJ seems to believe it's their responsibility to make other people happy. They feel like they have a duty towards that, but ESFPs are very focused on the SEFI, SETE. So SETE loop means they like to get things done. They're really focused on getting things done and pushing for that better life quality. And then FI means that they're going to put, if there's a conflict between themselves and other people's, they're going to focus on, well, life's about making yourself happy. Life's not about making other people happy. Whereas INFJs don't really know how to make themselves happy. They just try to focus on making other people happy. It can be very unhealthy. So ESFPs, because of their looping, can also... ESFPs will not seem like they have psychological problems, I think. They all seem like they are... Like, so some types are... People think they're stupid, like ESTPs and ESFPs. Some people criticize them as stupid, especially the intuitives like to criticize sensors. So what I think is, like, for those people who have an introverted first and third functions, their problems manifest in terms of like ruminations, suicidal ideation, intrusive thoughts. Like, because they're overly introverted, their psychological problems are more in the realm of the thoughts and feelings. Whereas the psychological problems that I think are happening in the extroverted types within extroverted functions, they're more in the world of the behaviors. And I did know an ESFP who, for example, made a lot of money in Shenzhen, went to Macau and gambled the money and lost all their money in a short period of time, then went to Zhuhai and was emo for like... So what happened is we met in a hostel in Zhuhai after she had gambled her money. And then what's really interesting is when she went in emo mode to Zhuhai, she basically she didn't take good care of her hair. She didn't take care of herself. But she was like every day playing video games on her phone. But every night she would come out and say, hey, would you like to play card games? And then we played card games together and we would talk. And then after 5 days, she left and she went back to her place in Shenzhen. And then I found out that she deleted me. So that was really interesting, is because this experience taught me that she had a very good figure. So you could say that she was a very like good body in terms of, you're talking about the body of a person. She's physically attractive, but what I kind of saw from this episode, this person was a clear ESFP. I discussed with her. I even recorded some stuff back then, and she was okay with it. And I think it was interesting how the story, she'd make a lot of money in Shenzhen, go to a place, try to gamble and get that money, lost that money, go back, go emo, go play, go dark for a little bit, play a lot of video games, go out, play some card games with strangers like me. And I don't think she ever considered me a friend. She just like, I'm just a person to pass the time. And then when she went back to Shenzhen, I didn't do anything. She just chose to delete me because she's want to be focused on the present, not really think about the past, not really sentimental. It didn't matter if I tried to help her or be. She never really cared, I think, how I felt. She never really cared what I thought. She had very strong beliefs and ideas, and she had a lot of confidence in her ability to make money. For her, when she lost the money, she ran for that situation, simply finding sensory experiences from gaming. And I met another ESFP in Quanzhou, who was traveling in Quanzhou. She had just quit her job. I don't know exactly the details happened, but her boss basically had a conflict with the boss. I think she had her FI values violated, so she immediately quit her job, didn't have a plan, went traveling a little bit, went to eat a little bit. We met. I saw her. She's watching an episode of Friends, so her hobbies were like Friends and playing Wangzhou Rongyao, playing video games. What's also ironic is both of these girls were on the very attractive side. So you could say they have like they were very attractive people, but they are willing to interact and talk, so they have no fear of interacting and talking, but they don't get sentimental about it. Because I remember we exchanged texts and we talked for a little bit, and she was interested in like, oh, what do you eat? Or sharing me photos of like what good food she ate and some food recommendations, because those are sensory experiences, right? And then I remember I set up a call with her and we talked a little bit, and I think in the call, so she did give the relationship like a chance, like in terms of a friendship. She gave the relationship a chance because we had phone calls and we talked. And I think, so she kind of gave me an idea that FI knows what it likes and what it dislikes. And so when dealing with the ESFP type, it's of highest priority to realize this person does not value you. They only value what they value, and what they value is their SE sensory experiences. And like they really value SE, and I don't even know how much they value NI, to be quite honest. They do value TE. They do value like making money, because making money can buy you sensory experiences. They don't really seem to be that good at networking, because like they seem so focused on what am I absorbing, what am I feeling. I think they're like a bit in their own world, because the thing is, when calling and talking, basically she shared what she would do, what she liked, so she's expecting you to share what you like and how you see the world. But if how you see the world is like different than how she sees the world, she doesn't really value perspectives. So it's not really, it's not something like, oh, how do you see the world? Let me learn from you. So for me, I'm trying to learn how other people see the world, learn about differences. So for me, differences are good. For the ESFPs I met, they're not really, differences are not that important. Like if you're a person with a different perspective, they're not perspective collecting like ENFPs. They're not focused on what could be, or they're not even focused on things, a TI method of understanding at too deep of level. What they have TI as a blind spot, just like the ENFP. So they're not building a model of how the world works. From what I've seen, they're not building that model. Like it's not important to build that model where, like, it doesn't mean people don't build a model. Everyone has a model, but the thing is, they don't build the model of how the world works for the sake of how it works. They want to say, what's the objective? I need to make money. I just lost my money, or I'm here. I just lost my job. There's like problem solving. How am I going to problem solve this problem in the most effective way, using the least amount of resources? So they're more about efficiency. And someone did a good video how actually TE is actually lazier than TI in many ways, because TE is looking for the path of least resistance. How do I get this done? Whereas TI is like, let's build the castle from the ground. Let's build a palace from the ground up. Let's build and understand the world. So TI is actually very intellectually intense, and it's highly risky because it's like a long-term investment. You keep on building an understanding of the world works. You're building this huge idea palace of ideas. it may lead absolutely nowhere. It might be a labyrinth that like traps you and you can't even get out, like the Minotaur thesis. The ESFP, T, give me simple, SE, give me now. Give me simple, give me now. And FI, I want to like it. So SE, now. Now matters most. Now matters more than the past, it matters more than the future. FI, how I feel matters more than how you feel. TE, give me the efficient, effective path to solve the problem. I don't want to get too theoretical or build too complicated of a model. I don't need that. So if you see an ESFP with extremely deep theoretical frameworks, that person is special. So like that person is I'm not because when I talk about ESFPs, we've got healthy, unhealthy, balanced, unbalanced. And the thing is, like, when we're talking about ESFP, we're talking about a typical and an advanced ESFP with a person who realized, wait, what am I doing? Like, now is important, but the future is also important. The past is also important. So like, in order to balance, the growth for the ESFP should focus on how do you balance these functions. So SE is biased to the present. So it's biased to the present. That means it's biased against the past and the future. So it's biased against SI and it's biased against NI, future orientation. It's also biased against any possibilities, parallel universes, because it's here and now, it's present in time and space. Whereas NE is kind of not present in this time and space. It's like omnipresent in multiple timelines and multiple spaces. FI is like, my feelings matter more than other feelings. Well, this sounds great, except that's not going to help you that much. Like, it can protect your feelings because other people's feelings won't spill into your feelings like INFJs have. So INFJs have the flip problem. INFJs care too much about other people's feelings. ESFPs are more focused on like their own feelings. So the path to growth is, my feelings are important, but other people's feelings are important too. So I should develop some empathy to understand how other people feel, and that's going to help me get higher quality sensory experiences. Like, how are you going to have a successful marriage if you think that your feelings are more important than other people's feelings? And then TE is very much, I want results. I want that efficiency. Sometimes the most efficient path, you first take the long route. Sometimes you spend some time, like, sometimes if you just jump in and do something without research, I'm going to learn while doing, it's not as good as just spending 2 hours researching and then doing it. Like, doing the 2-hour research and then doing it might give you way better results in doing it, try, result, try, fail. So the path of the ESFP and the ESTP is fraught with failures that were probably avoidable because they could have sought other people's perspectives with the NE. They could have been more future-oriented with the NI. They could have built a deeper understanding with the TI, but because they're just like, we're all in, we're going, and we're doing. So they got the speed, but they need to slow down. Speed is good, but even the cheetah needs to take a rest. The cheetah is not always running. It needs to rest. So I think the ESFP is a type that is biased towards speed and needs to slow themselves down. And I'm saying these things, I'm not going against other people's way of living. We need different types of people in the society. So we say these things so that people can better understand themselves and understand others around them. Like, hey, I might have children and they're like ESFPs, and then I kind of know, like, oh, wow, this is how they feel, this is how they think. Great. So one way to tell between, okay, we're going to go in the part 5. So this ENFP, or somebody was not sure how the difference between ENFP, one way is to look at how crazy are your thoughts. Are you combining lots of possibilities that aren't real? One way to know is also, do you feel accepted where you're from? ENFPs are more accepted in some places than others. To be fair, as I wrote here, I believe ENFPs are actually less popular than ESFPs. ESFPs, I believe, are just going to be more popular everywhere. For something, the thing is, because I did notice some things, because ESFPs are really focused on the here and now, they're going to look good. They're not going to just like, they're about it. Like, I'm living here and now, and I'm going to make that life the best I can here and now, right now. And that includes fashion and beauty and just taking like Presenting well in the present is something that ESFPs do. And ESFPs do not get distracted by these theoretical future possibilities. So they're not like distracted. They're like focused on the reality everyone can agree on. So ESFPs don't exactly they're not that controversial in the sense that ENFPs and INTJs and INFJs, they're talking about things that people don't know what they're talking about. But ESFPs, if they're going to talk about they're talking about something that you can verify. It's verifiable with the 5 senses. It's something that is very empirical. So they're kind of an empirical type, which can make them kind of like, this is the funny thing. It's like, why do the ENFP so theoretical? Is because they're like easily bored with the mundane and the concrete. They're bored with the reality, so they escape into fantasy and into possibility. But the ENFP is not someone who's getting bored with the reality. Or I should put it this way, if reality gets boring for ESFPs, they're not going to escape into fantasy. They're going to try to make the reality more interesting. So if reality is boring, they're going to do something to make reality more interesting. And that makes them a fun type, right? Because if you're, I do notice that, like, if you looked at here we're thinking, so geographically, I believe that the ESFP type would be more welcome than the ENFP type across the board for most countries, because they're focused on the here and now. Oh, so ESFPs and ENFPs, EP types, they are easily bored. They require high stimulation. ENFPs require more intellectual stimulation. ESFPs require more sensory stimulation. So this can get controversial because I don't know how true some of this is, because I don't have access to people's private lives. But theoretically speaking, actually, seriously, the ESFPs I knew were really good looking. Like they could be models. They could be very sexy models. And the guys are pretty fashionable too, like looking good. And the thing is, when you're chasing high quality sensory experiences in the here and the now, this is a recipe for music, sex, drugs, good food, fashion. These are things that pretty much all humans like. Like, people might say, well, why they don't like drugs? Well, caffeine is like a type of drug. So people drinking tea, like these are all chemical substances that alter the human mind and the human experience. So what would make perhaps an ESFP kind of different than an ENFP is they would be chasing these sensory pleasures, and they would be getting them. So seduction is not going to be hard for them. Because the reason why you seduce is because you're trying to get that high quality sensory experience. And in the case of sex, in terms of you're trying to attract certain types of high quality sexual partners to get that. So that makes you better at fashion. So it's a loop. It's like, oh, if you want really good sex, then you want to attract those kind of partners, and you want to attract those kind of things. So they're very much about attracting and repelling. And I think FI is good at this because it knows what it likes, and it knows what it dislikes. It wants to attract what it likes, and it wants to repel what it dislikes. It creates boundaries. It creates some kind of level of putting the individual's experience first. And this idea of living your life up, living it up, doing things, going places, meeting people, not getting, like, I think ESFPs would also like run into stuff and they're going to overcome it. They have force. SE is the force. It's like, if they run into a problem, they're going to probably have problems and failures, but they're just going to eventually just overcome it. And that creates like a doer type of mentality. So let's like an INTP. Like an INTP is very intellectual and would be more of a thinker type rather than a doer type. So in our society right now, most countries prefer doers rather than thinkers. And INTPs are kind of also, like, for example, they're known to have resting bitch face. So like an ESFP wouldn't have resting bitch face because they'd be really or At least they will not have resting bitch face when they don't want it. Like, they will know when they have resting bitch face. Because they're like, their SE would keep them have a very high spatial awareness of whether or not they had it on. So when they need a resting bitch face, they'll turn it on. When they don't want it, they will turn it off. So when it's time for photos, when it's time for looking cool, when it's time for putting on the social media, I'd actually have to give the advantage to ESFPs. And we are in the social media age where basically whoever is presenting themselves well in social media is going to get more opportunities. So ESFP is also a very competitive type. SEFI means I'm not going to back down from challenges. I'm not afraid to hurt feelings. I'm not afraid to cross boundaries. I'm not afraid to get what I want. I'm willing to do what I got to do to get what I want. And I'm willing to push things aside. I can throw people away out of my life, and I could attract people into my life. So they're kind of like a judo player where they can pull you in. That's kind of like the seduction. I could pull you in if I want, and I can throw you away if I don't want to. Connection and disconnection. And I think they're engaging with life in a very full way, which a lot of the more passive types are jealous of, would love. Like, how do you have so much energy? How do you have so much motivation? And I think a lot of that energy comes from they don't waste energy. TE is about saving the energy and resources. SE is about being aware. And when you're aware, you can avoid things like SEFI allows you to avoid things you don't like. You're aware of things around you, and you're aware of what you like, and you're aware of what you don't like. So you could easily just push things away and pull things towards you. There's a problem with us, though, is because basically a lot of things that are good for us, we don't like, and a lot of things that are bad for us, we like. So ESFPs, like for example, drugs are things that a lot of people like, but people are actually, it's not good for them, so they shouldn't like it, but they're like not worried about the future, so they're like, let's do it in the present, and let's go. And plus, I think, so this makes them, ironically, they're not a type that cares about making other people like them, but other people are going to like them because, like, I want to be more like them. I want to be like the FE types like to make other people like them anyway. So FE types would gravitate towards FE types like making all types like them. Now ESFPs, they're good looking, they're present, they got force. They're not scared of life. They're going through it, and they're willing to fail, and they're willing to go through things. They're not overthinkers. FE types are going to admire them. Thinking types would admire, like, let's be honest, like for males trying to find female partners, a lot of males just care if the female looks good. Like, if the female looks good, they can forgive any kind of sins, and especially like for a lot of, in many countries, it's just like, oh, if they're young and beautiful, it's great. So ESFPs are very much like, wow, full of life. For females, it can be very attractive. Males are also very attractive as well. I believe, if I met a few, they usually they got cool haircuts. They're the ones with like earrings. They've got they're styling it up. They're not basic. They're the ones who like, that's basic, bitches. Because they're so involved in here and now that they're making comparisons. FI makes value judgments. This is basic. This is fashionable. This is out of trend. This is in trend. Like FISE makes them have this ability to adjudicate and place value judgments on things. Whereas, to be honest, INFJs, me and other INFJs, we're like all wearing black. We're trying to wear things. We've got big souls, but we're wearing small pants. Like we're trying to shrink ourselves to make other people comfortable. ESFPs will not do that. They are not going to shrink themselves to make other people feel comfortable. If you're uncomfortable, that's your problem. I'm not going to make myself uncomfortable to make you comfortable. It's a very FI kind of mindset. I did mention ESFPs have NI at the fourth function, considering long-term consequences and seeing long-term patterns to be quite difficult. So actually, ESFPs should try to make NI friends, but it might not be the easiest. So this is a problem. Is I think a lot of people want to be friends with ESFPs, so they don't have scarcity of friends, so they don't need to play it nice either. Like, why do I need to If you have no friends, then you got to be nice because you need to make other people like you so you can have friends because you don't have many friends. But a lot of people want to be your friend regardless. Like if you're a really good looking person and everyone wants to be your friend regardless if you're nice or if you're mean, you might as well be mean. Because if other people are liking you for your physical appearance and you're mean, you can get the advantage. Well, people like me, so they're going to do me favors. And if I'm mean, they're going to be scared of me, so they're not going to push my boundaries and I can cross other people's boundaries. Being mean and scary has the ability of, you don't dare to attack me because I'm going to attack you. And I can attack you when I feel like it. And that puts, I think that's actually something that could be considered like INFPs, other types of INFPs and others a little bit more scared of pushing people's boundaries. They want to respect people's boundaries. So this is what they have in common, ESFPs and ESFPs. This is getting things done, not willing to slow down, not willing to thinking too much. So honestly, if they recognize they have this weakness, they should try to find partners and friends who would at least let their strengths shine, but also help rein in those lack of slowing down and thinking too much. But I think it's hard for them to tolerate the impatience to tolerate something that is too slow. I think the ENFP in this regard can slow down much, much better and generate way more possibilities. And this is the ENFP has so many ideas, it's overwhelming them. But the ESFP is much more linear and single-minded. And actually, because they have NI in the fourth dimension, in the fourth function, they actually do have goals. How those goals manifest, I'm not sure, but they do have goals and they do have this desire to narrow things down rather than explore. Like, I wouldn't consider the most exploring type. So, like, for example, I'm just going to go off of the stereotype. Is like, if an ESFP wants to have fun, then the NI is telling them, my goal is to have fun. Or if they're like, look, I want to be beautiful, then their NI goal could be, I want to be beautiful. Because SE and FI, so SE is like, in the real world, people who are beautiful are treated better than those who are not beautiful. So FI says, my values are, I want to be beautiful because I like it. I like looking at myself in the mirror because I value the visual senses. I like looking in the mirror and seeing what I look, and I like taking photos and being enjoyable. And I like it when other people like and comment and give me good feedback. It makes me feel warm inside. Those could be SE, FI in operation. But then NI would say, well, if that is the case, then ESFPs might go traveling with a very single, like, when I go travel, I'm going to eat good food, I'm going to take good pictures, I'm going to wear a good outfit. So there is some kind of like script to follow. There is some kind of like goal. It's kind of versus it's. So ENFPs might be, those things might matter much, much less. Where they're much more open-minded in terms of, oh, travel, whatever it is whatever it is. Talk to strangers, take some photos, do this. It doesn't matter. It doesn't need to be the same thing every single time. But ESFPs might be like, it might have to be like, I'm doing this, and it's gonna be like there's gonna be a pattern. Like, they're gonna build a pattern where they're like, this is it's gonna feel right. And that also kind of makes sense because if you're really focused and living in the moment, wouldn't you, like, if you're really focused and living in the moment, if you're chasing every single thing and not being focused, you're going to not be that efficient. So NI and TE are about efficiency because NI is about having clear goals. I want to look good, so I need to exercise. I want to take photos, so I need to buy a good camera. I want to, like this might sound very parasitical, but some people are dating, like, I want to lower my costs, so I'm going to find a rich boyfriend who can take me traveling and help me go to Europe and buy food and have more sensory experiences and expand that range of sensory experiences. So I think an ESFP would be much more inclined to, like, find a partner that allows them to get more of what they want. Like, their FI clearly knows what they want and what they don't want, and they would probably like a partner who could help them achieve those results. Whereas an ENFP doesn't even have that clear of a goal to begin with. And so they might be more of like, I want a partner who can have fun conversations with me, explore the world, and understand me. Because ESFPs are kind of easy to understand on some level comparative to ENFPs, which makes them more. It's easier for people to get along with ESFPs once they get their vibe, because they're not hiding too much. Like, they're going to be like, I want to, like, their values could be probably seen on their social media. Like, I like this, I like that, I want to look good, I want to have fun, I want to do this kind of stuff. But I think an ENFP can be a little bit stressful, but this depends if you have, what kind of person you are. It's like, imagine you're a boyfriend and if your girlfriend knew, I like eating Michelin star restaurants. Their NI saying, I like Michelin star restaurants. I like traveling to new countries. I like good sex. I like taking photos. And that's it. Like, if that's all that's important to them. If you're a boyfriend and you just gave them that, they're going to be happy. If it was every single time it was that, they're happy. There's not, that just give that, they're happy. And ENFP is like, you give me that, but that's a little bit not enough. Like, their mind is racing at 1,000,000 miles an hour, exploring the mysteries of the universe, and they want you to be there with them. They want to explore this huge, vast, the possibilities. So they're much more philosophical. They're much more touchy-feely, much more wild, intellectually more curious. They're a very curious type. I would say ENFP is a very curious type, where ESFP is a much more realistic type. A realistic type that you don't want to mess with. A realistic type that knows how things work. Because I think the ENFP is curious about, like, they're kind of both curious about how things work, but the ESFP is going to find out how things work through experience. And they're going to be conservative, because how things work, they have a model of reality that's built on the empirical understanding of what do we all accept. So they have a much more, if you drew a circle of what ESFPs believed, it's a much more small circle, but ENFPs would believe in a much larger circle, because they believe in things that do not have sufficient sensory data. They could believe in things simply because they're possible. But an ESFP's belief in the possible is not, their focus is not on what is possible, their focus is what is here, now, real. And so the ENFP can believe if it is possible, then it is real. The ESFP perhaps believes it's possible, so what? It's not real. Make it real, then we'll talk. I did mention, I think that this means that if, in terms of circuitry, ESFPs are more focused in sequential, a series circuit, and then ENFPs are more in parallel circuit, parallel universe. Their mind's processing many things at many times and jumping between many different possibilities. And this creates a difficulty in choosing. This makes them have some kind of difficulty to finish through and commit, but ESFPs kind of keep it much more simple. I think that ESFPs don't have that problem with making decisions, but they have problems with making the decisions that will give them the best long-term value. And I think they'll also have problems making decisions. So their decision-making process is privileged and advantaged if we're talking about something that is in the short term, near term, right now, and if it's in the world of the senses, and if it involves their own feelings. But if you're talking about something that involves other people's feelings, like FE, and if you're talking about things that are longer term, like NI, and if you're talking about things that are much more complicated, like TI, focus, these things make their decision-making process less accurate. So their decision-making process is more accurate for a certain set of problems, and it's like, okay, what looks good for the party? That is like today problem, that is in physical reality, and it's like now. It's like a problem you have to do now, and you're wearing the clothes now, like how should I do my makeup now? They're going to make these good decisions on these kind of things. But if you're talking about what's the religion our country should follow, like this is probably outside of what ESFP's decision-making process is, because they're like, we don't think like that, like that's someone else's problem. Like, that's not what I like thinking about. FI would probably deny and say, but that's not I don't need to think about that, because doesn't make me happy to think about that. And I know what I like and what makes me happy. So this also makes NI more clear, because when their FI is more powerful, they're clear on what they like and dislike. So their NI is focusing towards what they like and not away from what they dislike. But this is where the problems happen, is because people's likes and dislikes can lead them to their own ruin, potentially, in the worst case scenario. I also made a suggestion: if you have a problem between ENFPs and ESFPs, you can't tell which one, throw an INFJ. Just throw an INFJ in front of them. If the ESFP is like, what the it's like, ESFPs, the thing is, ESFP may like INFJs in the short term. I'm saying as the INFJ waxes philosophical, metaphorical, and more complicated, like as the INFJ starts going on the roll, I think ESFPs are like, they would like to talk to someone else by then. But the ENFP is like, wow, this person's thoughts are like a book that's not written anywhere. That's where the ENFPs, I think ENFPs are really into originality. They really want to know, like, they want to think of thoughts that have never been thought. They want to talk about the things that have never been talked about. They want to do things that have never been done. And they're pioneer for that. But ESFPs, I don't think it matters if they repeated the same experience over and over and over again. NI users could repeat the same things over and over again if it gave them that high quality sensory experience. If anything, the reason why they would need to change, like, let's say they wore this dress, they went to this nightclub, or they went to this place. The main reason why they have to change things is because the threshold for excitement, like, basically they could probably spend lots of time shopping and enjoying different types of clothing, but they would actually get bored of particular clothing pieces. Like if they wore a black shirt and a black pants today, they'd probably feel really bad about wearing it tomorrow, because it's like, that's really boring. That's not fun. Whereas INFJs would be like, wait, that's what I'm doing. Like, I'm doing the black shirt, black pants, black shoes today, tomorrow. It's like those decisions don't matter. The SI decisions those details don't seem to matter to the INFJ. But for the ESFP, I think that they really do matter, where these things could really make a big difference between it strikes their SE and it makes their FI not happy, so they gotta fix it. I think so as the ESFP and the ENFP meet the INFJ, they probably will both like them a little bit at the beginning, but I believe the graph would go the ESFP, as time goes on, would like them less as the conversation gets deeper, and the ENFP would like the INFJ more as time goes on. But ironically, it might be the case that ESFPs actually need INFJ types in their life more, because INFJs value NI and FE and TI. These three functions that are valued by the INFJ are kind of covering the weaknesses we see in, like, TI is the blind spot of ESFP. FE, caring about other people's feelings, not something ESFPs excel at. And NI is something that they're vulnerable on. So the three functions, which basically means ESFPs may not want to interact with INFJs on the daily basis, but probably having an INFJ in their life as a friend could be really useful in making big decisions. Like, no need to, ESFPs are well qualified to take care of themselves and, like, all kinds of things and decisions they're good at making. But I think that can also bait you. Like, if you're really good at making all these decisions, you build your own confidence. You're very confident, then you think, oh, all my decisions are good. But the thing is, what happens if you're actually really good at making these smaller, medium-sized decisions, and the big decisions you're not so good at? If you use the same decision-making process as the small, the medium, and the big, you might end up in a disaster. So having friends should help us, give us feedback to improve and check our decision-making process, I think. So decisiveness goes to ESFP rather than ENFP. I don't know if I wrote anything other. And that's all. I am going to upload this ESFP versus ENFP series. Thank you for watching, and God bless.